a successful broker. And if you look at what a habit is, and it's a set of automatic, unconscious rituals that you repeat on a regular basis. And, it's one of the things that, sets the top brokers in the industry apart from the weaker brokers, because they have these daily rituals that they put in their business that allows them to perform at a lot higher level. And so I really wanted to talk today about, well, what are the habits that you can look at to embed in your business to help you to be a really, really top broker? So let's get into it. So if we look at, as I mentioned, the habits of a successful broker, what does it take for you to create a successful habit? Right? So if we look at, what an actual habit is, it's, most of the time, 95% of our thoughts are unconscious and things that happen in the background. So day in, day out, we're thinking the same thoughts and feeling the same way and not actually taking action on what we want, because we're trying to overrun the sort of the unconscious things that are going on in our life with the 5% that is the conscious activity. So what we end up doing is we end up repeating what we do day in, day out, and we stay inside what we call the comfort zone. All right, so outside of the comfort zone, there's fear, right? So for enable us to get through, we need to be able to push through the fear to get into the other zones, which is the learning zone and then the growth zone. And this is what we really want to focus on. If we are to create new habits and to be one of the most successful and top brokers, how do we create those new habits? How do we push through what's comfortable to create that bigger vision for ourselves? Knowing that, a lot of these things are actually unconscious. How do we consciously create that life and that business that we want to create that sits outside of our comfort zone so we can be unstoppable? One of the things that I used to say to my team is, I'll run through the brick walls, I'll make a lot of the mess, but I need people to clean up behind me. And a lot of the top brokers, are the top brokers in the industry because they have that mentality as well. Their daily habits that they do, such as the dollar productive activities, such as prospecting, networking, meeting with referral partners, following a systemized loan process, whether that be their qualification process, their sales process, their handover process, and the process from application through to settlement and then post-settlement. They are unstoppable in their passion for sales and really working on the right things, because they know that doing the right things and having the right habits in their business is going to make them unstoppable. And this is what leads them to be the top brokers in the industry, because not only do they act the right way, they think the right way. And this is where it all starts. It starts with how you think and what you create. And to be the best broker you can be, you've got to be highly aware of what you're thinking to change your habits and to really make the unconscious conscious, to bring that 95% of stuff that just happens automatically. How do we change those and create habits that are going to be successful in the business? So if you look at it, and as we mentioned, the thing that sits above is 5%. What sits below is the 95%. And this is why when we look at the power of thought, you really need to be able to think differently. And how do you think differently, right? So you think differently by doing a number of things, by, hanging out with the right type of people, speaking to people who are successful and seeing what's working for them. What are the habits that they are doing? Get help through mentors or coaches. Speak to the people where you want to be, because this is going to change the way you think. Read different books that are going to give you different information that's going to change the way that you're thinking. Change that subconscious in you. You've first got to be able to put new thoughts in and focus for what you want, because what you don't want, and you think about, when you dial a phone number, what a habit is you unconsciously, your body knows what to do, faster than your brain. So you automatically dial the number without even thinking about it. Or you drive a car and you can change the gear lever and indicate and turn right or left without even thinking about it, because it's become a habit. So first of all, we've got to decide what we want, and this comes through the power of thought. Also, what's really, really important is the importance of having a growth mindset. So the big thing for us in the business, and we used to do this in our daily stand-ups, in our daily meeting, was, embrace mistakes. Embrace mistakes and use them to really grow yourself and grow the business. Learn from those mistakes, make the changes, and then implement, and then change them as a system. Because as James Clear says in Atomic Habits, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to the level of your system. So if we're making mistakes more often, then obviously something has to change. And where that level of change happens is in our systems. And systems provide the ability to do the same thing day in, day out. And if we do the same thing day in, day out, we're going to create different habits. And this is really important for us in the business to get to where we want to go. So the growth mindset and that failing forward. If you want a great book on this, Carol Dweck makes a book on mindset, and I would really it's a game changer. If you read this, it'll really tell you what a growth mindset is, apart from a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset, I'm sure you've seen the people that says, oh, this is just the way it is, it always happens this way, why did it happen to me, poor me, and they're in a fixed mindset. So the importance that I see in terms of top brokers, and thinking about my $1 Billion Broker podcast and all the top brokers that I've interviewed, and even some of the top brokers in the industry didn't start off as an overnight success. They learnt through error, trial and error, and grew through their mistakes. So the importance of a growth mindset is really, really important. So putting in place the right daily ritual. So most of us will brush our teeth without even thinking about it. It's just something that happens automatically. So how can we create some really great rituals within our business that we can do day in and day out? So then once we've decided on what those rituals are, which I'll talk a little bit more, then we've got to go through about, all right, we know we want this, we know we want to change, we know we need to make time to do the right activities in the business, such as picking up the phone and speaking to existing clients or prospects. But we need to be able to install the habit. And I'm going to talk to you about a process about how you can go about installing the habit within your business. But the first thing to do is really to be aware, right? So if you think about how you get out of bed in the morning, what is the first thing that you do, right? Are you someone that presses snooze 3 times before you get up? What is the first thing you do when your foot hits the floor, right? Do you go to the bathroom? Do you take a drink of water? Do you even really understand exactly what it is you do? Because chances are you do the same thing day in, day out. And it's not until we bring awareness to what our habits are that you can then start to change. So through some of the exercises I'm going to get you to do, we're going to go through. But the first thing to do is to be aware, right? And to be conscious, because we've got to make those things that are unconscious conscious in order for us to change and create a new habit in our life. So why is this? And if we look at it in terms of, looking at it from a psychological point of view, right? Because our thoughts, it starts with our thoughts, but thoughts alone don't do it, right? So first of all, we've got to think. Then from thinking, our thoughts create feelings. So the thought creates the feeling. And again, if you just say a positive thought or repeat a positive thought doesn't do it. You've got to feel it, because feelings are actually 50 times more powerful than a thought is, right? So without having the feeling part, and this is why when we go through some of the habit installation process, you need to really need to start to feel in terms of the way you are. So your thoughts will go to your feelings, and then from feelings, it will create the actions. All right, so your feeling will create the actions, and then your actions will create the results. So as I mentioned, your feelings or emotions are 50 more times powerful than thought alone. So we really want to focus on creating good feelings, which are going to create great actions, which are going to create great results. So this is why some people, you can give them the best script and they can pick up the phone and they won't be as successful as you at doing it, because they don't believe in it. They don't have the feeling that this is going to work. And so even though the thought's there, the words are there, the feeling's not there, so it doesn't create the positive action, so they're not going to get the same results. So really interesting stuff. So if we look at it and what you need to do, you need to have a look and really identify your current habits. Right? We have to identify and become aware. So can you list some of your really positive habits that you do day in, day out of the business? And a great way to do this is, if you haven't done it, set an alarm on your phone and do in half-hour increments, just write down everything you do during the day and do it for 2 weeks. And you'll understand, and it'll make aware of things that you are doing or you aren't doing within your business. So some positive habits that I see top brokers doing, scheduling time to make sure that they do their calls, right? To make sure that they're calling their existing clients, prospects, pipeline clients, pre-approvals. They do this on a religious basis, and they'll pick up the phone and they'll ensure they're doing that. They'll have set times where they can see clients and have those clients be able to book in and see them. They'll make time to do things like networking meetings or meeting with referral partners, and these will be scheduled in to their daily habits. They'll do things like exercise, meditation, spending time with their loved ones, and doing the things that they enjoy. Some of the negative habits that we see is spending too much time reacting to that ringing phone, being distracted on social media, those types of things. So think about your life and think about, what are the things that you're doing that are positive and what are the things that you are doing that are negative? So then we have to install our new habits. So we need a trigger, right? So we need a trigger, which may be the being in your Outlook calendar going out, that you've scheduled that. It might be when my foot hits the floor, out of bed, I'm going to put on my running shoes, I'm going to go for a walk. It may be when the alarm goes off, I'm going to get down on the floor and do 10 push-ups. It may be every time I walk in the room, I'm going to have a sip of my water bottle. Whatever that trigger is for you. Then we've got to have the ritual. What is the actual activity that we want to do? And then once we've done the ritual, we want to have the reward. So after an hour of calls, that may be you go to your local coffee shop and you spend 15 minutes and you have a coffee. It may be, the reward may be that you knock off at 5 o'clock and go and have a glass of wine with your partner or whatever. So if we look at that, the next thing is about, well, then how do we go and do the repetition? And this is where we sort of have a look and was that working? How did it work? How do we review it? And how do we repeat it? And obviously then this goes on in that sort of cycle day in, day out. Robert Sharma in his book 5am Club has this habit installation protocol, and he talks about the first 22 days is destruction, right? And he says it's like a mild form of torture in implementing this strategy for the first 22 days. And this is where the fear zone, everything in your body is going to say no because it's not comfortable. You're getting outside your comfort zone. So that's the destruction stage. After that, it becomes a little bit more easier, where you're in the installation sort of phase. And then the last 22 days is where it starts to come automatic, and then it starts to integrate in your business. And this first 66 days of implementing a habit so it becomes automatic is really, really crucial. And if you can understand that it's not going to happen overnight, you're not going to be overnight success, you're not going to be able to change this, but you've got to be diligent, you've got to stick to that bigger vision that you want to create for yourself, and understand that it's going to take time. It's going to take around about 66 days to get you to that point where it's going to be automatic within your business. So there's a worksheet. If you want a copy of the worksheets, just comment below and I'll get you a copy of the worksheets, where you can write down, okay, what is your trigger going to be? What is the ritual you're going to do? Is it lead generation at a certain time? Is it a weekly training session to upskill your credit analyst or your processors? What is it the ritual going to be? What's the reward? Is it going to be a coffee, a 5-minute break, a walk around the block, a glass of wine? What is that going to be your reward? And then how are we going to iterate it? And then how are we going to repeat it? So this is the process. And these are the things. A great thing from the Atomic Habits book: when, I will, because it provides reward. Right? And again, this brings the feeling into it, right? So if you're thinking about it, so when my calendar alarm goes off at 9 o'clock, I will make 20 calls because it provides the reward. And think about, for most of you, if you just did this one activity alone, you will double your business, right? And what will that provide? So then this will give you a more motivation, because as I said, your thoughts are one thing, but the feeling. So you want to create the feeling of what this is going to do, because it's going to create a lot more meaning for you. So I hope you've enjoyed that in terms of the mindset and helping you create the habits to be one of the most successful brokers and to be a top broker. And as I say, I work with a lot of top brokers, and the things that they do, they act positively, they do the right things which get them the right results, because they think, they feel, they act the right way, which leads to the results. Hope you've enjoyed this live video, and I'll look forward to speaking with you soon.